guys, this is my very first YouTube video and I just wanted to jump on and talk to you guys about what has helped me over the last 14 years with my trichotillomania. I have been suffering with trichotillomania for literally the last 14 years and I kind of just accepted that I was going to deal with this for the rest of my life and I wasn't going to be able to do anything about it and no one was ever going to be able to help me and nothing was going to change the fact that I pull my hair out, you know, like I'm always going to have bald spots. That was my mindset. And I'm always going to be, you know, running to kind of hide and try to change the fact that my hair was all crazy. So my story with trichotillomania started 14 years ago. I can't tell you exactly when it started. When I was about, I think I was about 6 or 7, I remember I started picking at my skin. And you can see right here, I don't know if you can see that, oh right there. I actually created this mole because I had dermatillomania. I had no idea what it was. I just remember being very fixated on my skin and just wanting to just scratch it over and over and pick and just, it was weird. It was kind of like how I feel with my trichotillomania. I got so lost in my skin. Every time I would get a scar, and I was a tomboy, so every time I had a little scar, I would just pick and pick and pick and pick until, you know, it turned into a nasty scar. You know, I have moles that I created myself. And that kind of started when I was about 8 years old, around that age. You know, fast forward a few years later, something very tragic in my life happened. I was going through a lot. I had just moved to Florida from New York. You know, I grew up in New York most of my life, and all my friends were there, and I moved to Florida, and I didn't really know how to cope. And I remember one day I was touching my hair and I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I pulled out a hair and it felt almost great. Like, it felt good. And I remember thinking, why does this feel good? That's not normal. But I did it anyway. And I did it a few times. Nothing drastic. Nothing crazy. You know, I had a bald spot probably about that big, like barely noticeable at first. And I was like, okay, whatever, no big deal. I remember I used to get my hair roller setted. And I remember my hairstylist going through my hair and her telling my mom, hey, she's got a bald spot, probably from her not taking care of her hair. And I remember being like, oh, well, it's from me pulling my hair out, you know? So fast forward to a few months later, something very tragic in my life happened. I would prefer not to disclose on YouTube. But I remember the night of it happening, I was suicidal. And I remember sitting in the bathroom and just ripping and ripping my hair out. And it literally, it kind of relieved the feeling that I had, like that deep feeling of just like sadness and anger that I had inside of me. And from that day forward, I just pulled all the time. It got to a point where I would say from about here on my head, about here towards the back to this side, and it was like about the size of both of my hands, like this, in the back of my head, was pretty much bald. I probably had a little bit of hair here and there. My hair was never much longer than maybe that, and it was like very scarce. Like, I didn't have a lot of hair. In high school, I was super embarrassed by it. I was constantly trying to like do my hair like this and like cover it somehow and just hide it. I was always trying to hide it because I was so ashamed at the fact that it felt so good to kind of, hurt myself, It's kind of like when someone cuts themselves. And over the years, I kind of internalized everything. Anything that ever happened to me, anything that ever was negative, I would internalize it. And the way I would deal with it was I would pull my hair, because that was like my coping mechanism, For a lot of people, trichotillomania is they kind of do it because it feels good. Some people may feel like they only do it because, it's just something that they do. Some people do it because they're anxious. Some people do it because of other reasons. I do it because I have stress. I have a lot of anxiety. I get very, very anxious, and I never really understood that until recently. Like right now, I'm getting anxious and I'm like picking at my skin. It's just super easy to get anxious, and it's extremely easy to get lost in that when you're not being mindful. And that's what I want to talk about. Mindfulness has helped me so much in my journey with trichotillomania, because it's really easy to just get lost. Like, every day we do it. Everybody is kind of numb to what they're really feeling inside. And I feel that mindfulness and understanding that being mindful will literally help you. Like they tell you, when you start pull yourself out of that environment and change your environment. And that's literally what mindfulness is. But no one ever really delves deep in the idea of that. And I feel like that's so important. I feel like people have to do that. And it saved me. My hair used to pretty much be bald, but not anymore. It's been about, my hair is pretty dirty. I have to wash it. It's been about close to a year since I've really pulled from this side. I will admit that I have been pulling recently. I kind of stopped meditating, and I kind of stopped doing all those important things, but this literally was bald before. This is the short side. And then on this side, and then the middle also is really long. This side is, long also. And I'm so proud of myself that I've been able to oh my gosh, my hair. I'm really proud of myself that I've been able to realize that I'm anxious, and it's not necessarily that I accept that I get anxious. It's more of I'm dealing with it and I'm addressing it head on. And sometimes, when I'm anxious and I realize I'm anxious, it literally makes me want to pull just by realizing that. But it's like, okay, why are you anxious? What is going on? What happened? Where did this, question yourself why you feel that way, and it helps so much with your trichotillomania. And I feel that a lot of people just need to focus on those things, and every day is gonna be hard. I'll be driving home, and the first thing I want to do is I creep up, and before I know, my hand isn't here. And it's like, no. So my message to everyone is look a little deeper. Try to see where it's stemming from. Instead of trying to find things to take your mind off of the fact that you want to pull, address it head on. And for some, that's going to be really hard, and it may not be possible. But I feel that that'll be really important for some people, because every time I went to a therapist, they never told me, hey, I think you should, address this. And I think that you should, be in the moment in your feelings. kind of stop and think what is going on, and kind of, look into your past, look into what could possibly be going on. Don't get me wrong, some people do have a chemical imbalance where they don't really have a say. They don't have a say in the fact that they're not making serotonin and endorphins and things like that. But some of us do. And I feel that not being mindful takes away from that. Not understanding what is going on inside of yourself will take away from that. Meditating and mindfulness have literally changed my life for the better. I've literally never felt this good. And it's easy to fall off the bandwagon. I fell off the bandwagon, recently. 3 months ago, I stopped meditating like I normally do. I stopped being mindful because I did some work, and I felt that I did some work. I got somewhere, and this is the destination. This is the end. There's never an end to it. You have to be consistent with it, and sometimes it sucks. Sometimes I'm like so trying to avoid it because you get so comfortable. You get really comfortable, and you accept your situation. You accept where you're at, and I feel that the more we stop accepting how we're feeling when we're down and when we're negative, and understanding that we can totally change that. We have full control of our entire life. We have control over how we react to things. We have control over all of that. I feel that, when more people start to realize that, some big changes will happen. So yeah, I just wanted to, get on here, make my first video, and kind of say what's on my mind. I kind of had no structure for this. It was kind of super last minute. I was in a fit of almost starting to pull, and I have been wanting to make a YouTube video for the last, I think, year almost, and I've been putting it off, just because it's easier to put it off. And I finally just said tonight, it's like 2 a.m., I'm gonna do it. Like, just get it over with. Once you do it the first time, it'll be fine. And it's like, my scalp is literally like aching right now because I want to pull so bad. But I'm literally gonna get off of here and go meditate because I know I need to. And I know that it will make me feel very relaxed and more in touch and more grounded. And that's what we need. That's what more people need in their life, I feel.